Heyo, Bladman here. How are you all doing today? Excuse me, or rather this evening, because in case you did not know, it is dark outside. So it is technically no longer today. So that, ironically, is the, it is the subject of today. So I mentioned in my last video that I'm going to try and change it up and have a little bit more of a formula. What we're doing for Mondays, if I can remember this correctly, Mondays are going to be movies, like movie Mondays, movies/books, stories, if you will. Tuesdays, which is today's video, is going to be about today. And either something that I saw or experienced or some anecdotal thing, what have you. Wednesdays are going to be what ifs. So it could be, you know, as simple as like silly things like, what if you could travel back in time? What would you do? Or what if you pooped bananas? Or whatever. You know, it's going to be silly things. And that's kind of the point. Thursdays is going to be a throwback Thursday, just because that was the best thing I could think of. And I'm open to suggestions if you guys like or don't like or whatever. And again, it's going to be kind of either throwback historically or throwback my personal life, my personal experiences, and so on and so forth. And Friday, I'm blanking on what I picked for Friday. It was good. Oh, Friday, Future Friday. And basically what everyone should be focusing on as well, because it's good to be in the present and it's good to learn from your mistakes, but it's extremely important to focus on the future of your life and what you're doing and your progress towards it. So today I had some interesting experiences. My lady and I went to the mall. We did some final paperwork on her getting her gun. We're in California, so you got to do all the paperwork and pass the test. And then you got to wait 10 days, you know, in case you, whatever. California is so stupid. You know, I just found out recently that if you're selling guns in California, you can't sell new guns. Like the guns you make available have to be like 5 years old or some malarkey, which is just ridiculous to me. Like, okay, California's just dumb. Okay, so that was one thing. Another thing I experienced, and I don't know if you guys have had this, but my lady really likes Starbucks, and I've gotten used to Starbucks. And since I've gotten used to it, I figured out what I like, what I don't like, yada, yada, yada. And then we were nearby a Coffee Bean. We're like, hey, let's get some coffee, right? And I've been to Coffee Bean before, and I got something I liked from them, but it was kind of like hot. So I was like, I don't want that drink because it's a hot drink. Let me try something cold, something I usually get at Starbucks, and I'm used to how it tastes. And then I'm at Coffee Bean and I order the same thing, and it's like, well, it doesn't taste horrible, but it doesn't taste like the Starbucks version, which granted, a lot of people are going to be like, Starbucks is the worst. And generally speaking, I have issues with it. Not necessarily the people that work there, but kind of where they've standed on certain things. So I'm not advocating for it. But I just found it very interesting that the whole point of this is like, if you go from one Starbucks to another Starbucks, everything you get there is going to basically taste exactly the same. However, if you order the same thing at two different establishments, it's not going to taste the same. Kind of like if you went to two separate bartenders, even at the same location, they may not pour the same drink. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting. Yeah. I will say this in general. I was going to say like a bad joke. I've been experiencing... and this leads into what else happened to me today. I've been experiencing more and more how, like, out of shape I am personally. And I'm getting married in 6 months, so I have a goal in mind, too. And I just decided today I'm going to drop 2 pant sizes. I'm going to lose 25 pounds. This and that. Now, I don't consider myself fat. I definitely consider myself overweight, obese, whatever term you'd like to use. And it's very fascinating because until about a month ago, I was doing a very, very physical job. So because of that very physical job, I was burning boatloads of calories every day. And then since I stopped doing that and I'm doing something else, I'm not consuming the same amount. And frankly, that's totally my bad. I didn't really adapt and change my habits. So I'm also making a vested interest in learning more, watching videos, studying, reading up on dietary things that you can eat and exercise things that you can do to combat this. Because I very much think that in large part, the issue is what am I consuming and what am I putting in my body? So I have a lot of bad habits that I'm aiming to change. I will say, though, it was kind of funny, and I know it's a bad thing to say, but seeing somebody else eat food, and I was just like, that's gross. Like, just the type of person and what they were eating it and how they were eating it. And I was like, huh, I wonder how people look at me when I eat food, or, you know, whatever. And I'm sure it can go the other way. Like, there's actually, if you're not familiar with it, there's channels of people who eat like redonkulous sums of food, like epic levels of food. And apparently there's like a, I want to say a tactile, but it's not tactile. It's like an audio, like, feeling, because these channels are very popular and they're very niche. And so they kind of make like, and then, you know, the chewing noises and all this stuff. And it's a thing. It is a thing. And it's obviously like more popular if the person's very skinny, I guess. But there's guys and girls that do it, so it's not strictly just women eating redonkulous amounts of food. Anyways, so I guess that's a thing, but to me, it was just like, I'm looking at the person, looking at what they're eating, and it was just another stone on the dam across the road, which, if you don't know that reference, it's a little bit of a side thing. I'll probably do a review on it. It's from the Ender's Shadow series. So there's the Ender's Game, and then they did a couple books about that, and then they did Ender's Shadow. Anyways, in short, they were trying to do like a peaceful protest against their tyrannical government. So what this lady did is she started dropping a stone, like a pebble, on the road, right? And that inspired many, many other people, I think it was in India, to do the same thing. And when you have a population of, I think they got like 1.3 billion people, and you have huge amounts of people who start putting a stone across the roadways, well, yeah, okay, so initially it's not a big deal. 5, 10, 100 stones, not a big deal. But when you have several thousand stones, that's going to start adding up on a roadway. And then you bulldoze it and they just do more and they just do more. And it was a really fascinating thing, and that was what I was referencing. I went on a really long tangent, but it was appropriate. And frankly, the Ender's Shadow series, in my opinion, is better than the Ender's Game series. Ender's Game is a terrific movie. And I think the next book after, or terrific book, the movie's the next one after was pretty good. But Ender's Shadow, in my opinion, that short series, Orson Scott Card killed it. Anyhow, who's the author, by the way. Last thing is, I don't know. I just have fun making other people around me like be in a better spot. And one thing, and it was rather interesting, we were in a store and there was a little girl who was crying because I guess mom wanted to go. And you got 3 adults and 1 little girl, and the little girl's just crying and she's not happy and yada, yada, yada. And the adults are like, meh, 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 and they're just ignoring her. And so obviously you don't want to mess with how other people parent their child, because it's frankly none of your business. And frankly, this girl crying is also none of my business either. But what I did was I said hi to her. She was wearing a cute backpack. And I was like, oh, did you pick out that backpack? And she's like, yeah. And she spoke mainly Spanish. But it was really cute because I just, you know, did you pick out that backpack? Oh, what is it? What animal is it? Oh, it's a ladybug. Oh, that's very cool. Does the ladybug have a name? Yeah, it's blah, blah, blah. And just that little act of her, of some stranger who's polite to her and treating her like an equal. I didn't talk down to her, like literally I did because she's shorter than me. But I didn't talk down to her or negate her. I just flowed her power and talked to her for a second. And in that like 20-second conversation, she went from crying to totally happy, gave me a high five. The parents were like, oh, okay, cool. And it was very interesting because my lady's in the store with me And I was like, okay, bye. Have a good day or whatever. Adios. And she like starts crying like 5 seconds later. And my lady later, she told me that she had this thought like, hey, it was a nice try. But then I told her, it's like, well, but I saw that same girl like 30 seconds after that. And she wasn't crying anymore. And I mean, I'm not a kid whisperer at all. But I will say that there is something for, in general, if someone is stuck on a thing, and especially with children, and you break them out of that loop, it's just, because sometimes they're whining just to create an effect. And it's not really anything other, it's just like, okay, I got it. It's going to be fine. Anyhow, so also had a wonderful day looking at wedding bands and stuff, and everything wedding is just ridiculously expensive. So I would say save up because it's expensive. Find friends who can do things that are more affordable, but ultimately it's your happy day. So it's just like, you got to do what you got to do. So that was kind of it for today. I don't really have like a finite thing that I learned today, other than I'm realizing more and more that my health, that there's lots of things going on with my body. And I can there are plenty of tools out there for me to take control and stop being ignorant and learn what's going on and start taking control over my life and physically how I look. That isn't to say that some people don't have special circumstances, because they definitely do. But I'm realizing more and more that, hey, it's okay to acknowledge that you're not what you were. Like, I don't look how I did when I was 20. And if I would like to look anything remotely like that, there are things that I can do to look like that. Okay. I just have to put in the work and really acknowledge that. If that's, I almost bought a pair of pants today that were, significantly a size too small, closer to the size that I wanted to. They were just pricier, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But, just that idea of then having a pair of pants or wearing a shirt that's too tight, and you're just like, oh, I don't like this. Well, okay, but if you constantly buy shirts that are way too big for you, and then you feel good because you're like, see, I don't look fat. Well, okay, maybe you are fat. You hiding it from yourself doesn't do you any favors, bud. And that was another thing I realized, is I was just like, wow, yeah, these pants used to fit better, and this shirt used to look better on me. They both don't right now, and that's not okay with me. I'm not happy with that for myself. So that was kind of my interesting lesson of the day. Look forward to checking in with you tomorrow on What If. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be crazy. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please like, subscribe, share, and please comment what you think of that projected, daily thing, and just kind of making that the subject of the day. I look forward to hearing it. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.